What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're taking a look at the 1954 classic Godzilla. Alright, I've been a Godzilla fan for a very, very long time, and I've been waiting a very long time to finally talk about the original Godzilla movie because, after watching this movie pretty much multiple times, now, my fandom for Godzilla goes back to when I was a little kid, but the funniest thing is that I never saw the original Godzilla movie till I was 18 years old. I've only known Godzilla from the subsequent sequels that came after this original movie, like Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, or Godzilla 1984, Godzilla versus Mothra, King Ghidorah. I'd known Godzilla when he was doing his Monster Mash movies, Monster Island, things like that, Son of Godzilla. And of course, the 1998, Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie, which you're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. I'm in the camp of someone who likes that movie, even though it completely just misses the mark of what Godzilla's supposed to be. I was always entertained by that 1998 Americanized movie, and I adore it. I have a lot of fond memories of that movie. But yeah, my fandom for Godzilla goes a long time. So when I finally turned 18 years old and I saw the original 1954 movie, I'm not gonna lie, blown away by it. The 1954 Godzilla movie, it's a deep movie. When you know the context behind the creation of this movie and what the country of Japan went through, and how this movie is pretty much their therapy in a way of nuclear holocaust and what they went through when the atomic bomb dropped. It's a deep movie, but it's a well-constructed, well-made movie. Godzilla, the original 1954 Godzilla movie, is so much more than a kaiju monster movie. It's, like I said, it's a therapy session for the Japanese culture and them coming to terms with what they went through with World War II and the atomic drop and the atomic bomb droppings and things like that. Godzilla is a metaphor for that, and Ichiro Honda, who directed this movie, did a fantastic job. What makes this movie stand out is that it's not done in a conventional movie. It's done more as a documentary. This movie has a very somber, just very dark and gritty tone to it. It's played totally straight. Ichiro Honda does a fantastic job of making you believe that what you're seeing is real and what you're seeing is actually happening. And the threat of Godzilla is very real and very, very dangerous. He does not shy away from the chaos and destruction that this creature brings to Japan, with, of course, the most famous scene being the destruction of Tokyo, which is just, when you watch it, it's fascinating how in 1954 they were able to make that scene come to life by use of miniatures. And yes, Godzilla is a man in the suit, but again, they did a lot of different things. They used camera tricks, miniatures, everything was all practical and in camera. They used film dissolve and things like that to create the illusion of this creature tearing down this city, just building by building till it's down to its foundation and then past the foundation. It's magnificent. It's beautiful. It's beautiful chaos, but it's also well done is what I'm trying to say. But that's not all about this movie that's fantastic. It's just the build-up to Godzilla that's fantastic, and the fact that you don't see Godzilla till 20 minutes into the movie, but that's okay, because from the second this movie starts, you get the destruction of the boat that just gets blown up in the middle of the ocean. Then you see another fishing vessel that is just in flames with the only survivor swimming to shore. And then we get to the scene where it's in a heavy hurricane rain, where this survivor is killed when Godzilla reaches the shore. And then it's not until, I think, the next day where Godzilla's head emerges from the mountains of that island. It's really well done. And to think that was just merely a soundstage and a sock puppet and film dissolve, it's fascinating how in 1954 they made this thing come to life and make it so well. But yeah, Godzilla, he is the star of this movie, and how they were able to bring him to life in this original 1954 movie is remarkable. But that's not to give the cast that's not to take away anything from the cast. The cast in this movie is great. It has just very good characters. You have Emiko, and you have Serizawa, and you have the Akira who's Akira. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not good with Japanese names. But you have Akira's character, who is the love interest of Emiko, and you have that little triangle thing. But it's so much more than a triangle. You know, Sarazara, he is the doctor who has created this thing called the Hydrogen Destroyer, which is humanity's only weapon to take down Godzilla. But he's just horrified at what he created because he knows it can cause mass destruction. You know, he's involved with Emiko, who he has strong feelings for, but in a way he's kind of detached from the human life because of his work as a scientist. This is what leads Emiko to have an affair with. This is what leads Emiko to have an affair. But at the same time, there's still a mutual respect between Sarazara and Akira Takarada's character. So it's really well done. It's very well done. Then you have Dr. Yaman, who pretty much gives the exhibition and tells us that Godzilla was around for 2 million years, was around during the Cretaceous period and the Jurassic period. Like Ichiro Honda and his team did a very decent job at trying to make as much scientific believability as possible. Now, does that science hold up? No. They kind of had to bullshit their way to making this thing. They kind of had to bullshit their way a little bit to give some plausible explanations. But to Ichiro Honda's credit, they did it in a way where it came natural, or it came across as natural, and it fit the aesthetic of the movie and the story that he was trying to tell. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that tenfold. And of course, you can't talk about Godzilla with the great film composer Akira Ifitube. I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry, but we have the legendary Godzilla, the legendary music that is Godzilla. That bam, 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 bam. Fantastic stuff. Like the original Godzilla movie is like. This movie is just so impactful for what it did to monster movies, and it set the standard for monster movies. Prior to this, you kind of had cheesy monster movies, You didn't really have thought-provoking monster movies until Godzilla came around. And then this movie changed the game because you had, characters that you fell for. You had a monster you had a creature who you have a creature who you feel sympathy for because you feel sympathy for Godzilla because he's out of his time. He's out of his element. He doesn't know what he's just this beast that's the king of a domain, and he's pretty much taking back his land in a way. Of course, it's at the expense of many people's lives, but it's really well done. And of course, the ending of this movie, and I love how this movie does not have a happy ending. This movie has a bittersweet ending. Serizawa pretty much has to sacrifice his life in order to kill Godzilla, and Dr. Yemen has the greatest line of the entire movie. Pretty much, which to paraphrase, if humanity keeps going down the way they're going down with atomic weaponry, it could give birth to another Godzilla. It's to take a quote from the Blue Oyster Cult song. History shows again and again how nature points out the folly of man. Go Godzilla. So yeah, I love the 1954 Godzilla. Whatever. I don't have my cover, but I love the 1954 Godzilla movie. I love this big prehistoric son of a bitch, which is why I'm going to give the original Japanese movie a perfect 10. This movie is excellent. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below.